as you can see, I'm talking about the normal cats in the game. And you know, why does nobody talk about them anymore? Like, I understand some, like Mohawk, Dark, Macho Legs, Lion, Flying, Island, and Chimera. Okay, I just named like most of them. However, I still think that they're forgotten. I still think that they have a use. Like, Dark is still really good against Reds. Macho Legs is still like a good kind of the alien equivalent of Cameraman, in the sense where the damage isn't that great anymore, but they're stackable and they like can work as a ranged meat shield almost. Lion works as a somewhat fast like mini tank. Little Flying kind of sucks, but or not little flying, just flying kind of sucks, but weakening Angel can be used against Borafin and stuff. But okay, so like I could talk about the technicalities, but I mainly want to talk about Little Eraser, King Dragon, and Super Feline. 3 normal cats that are never talked about anymore. Eraser, still by far one of the best meat shields in the game. I don't think there's any arguing that. Like genuinely, 27,000 HP. How much HP does Rice Ball have? I don't know how to spell Rice Ball. How much HP does Rice Ball have? Hold up, I gotta actually look at level 50. So at level 50, wow, yeah, Eraser has more. Because, well, no, has almost as much. Yeah, Eraser has, I think... No, wait, yeah, no. Because what's 80%? Hold up. Now I'm having to get a calculator out. Is it 16? Yeah, 16 times 1.8. Okay, so Eraser has slightly less HP than a talented Rice Ball, but half the cost, and is a more durable wall thanks to it having so much less speed, which is something I've talked about with Honeywell before, but maybe I should talk about it in its whole video. But it's not a bad thing to have low speed on a meat shield, especially if it's your second meat shield. Having one meat shield that's fast and one meat shield that's slow is actually a good thing, because that means that you have one meat shield that can get to the front line quickly, and you have another meat shield that can provide a thicker wall so that it's hard to actually get pushed by the enemy. Having both of them can be the best of both worlds. And so I don't know why people don't really use Eraser. I think it's just because they think of Ramen or Rock or Rice Ball. Like I just think that they believe the other options are better, when in reality Eraser is probably one of the best, probably the best slow meat shield to use generally. Especially without research combos, so that would get rid of Ramen. And you know, and I as somebody that doesn't like Rice Ball's speed, I would honestly use Eraser over Rice Ball, because if you want a fast tanky meat shield, just use Manic Eraser. It's half the cost of Sumo, and you don't require NP for it. No, it doesn't have knockback immunity, or what even are your other immunity? I mean, no. Here's the thing, right? Immunities hardly ever actually make a difference. Like, sometimes they will, but like on a meat shield, they really don't. Like, speed usually makes up for having that lack of immunity. But Eraser doesn't have that, unfortunately, but like that's minimal. Whenever it comes to just doing your job as a meat shield, Eraser is arguably the best. Like, honestly, arguably better than Manic Eraser, just because of, like I said, the thicker wall. Having so much HP while also being a thick wall just works so well, especially as a second meat shield. Probably the best second meat shield in the game. And I believe that Manic Eraser is the best primary meat shield in the game. I think the only secondary meat shield that I think could be better than Eraser is Jiangxi. Jiangxi is also a really good secondary meat shield. But, you know, Rock and Ramen, yes, with research combos would be arguable, but we're not talking about with research combos. Because if a unit requires a combo to be good, then I don't care. Because I'm talking about the unit itself. I'm not talking about the unit's potential. I'm not talking about how Lasvos can do millions of damage in one attack, because that requires him to be strengthened and to get a Savage Blow. Savage Blow is only a 30% chance. Strengthen is inconsistent because it's only at 30% HP. You know, like, I'm not talking about potential. I'm talking about overall, just as for a unit as its whole, what they are. And that's my opinion on Eraser. And then Lizard. I know Manic King Dragon is like just better, but not stats wise, I'm pretty sure. I think a maxed out King Dragon actually has better stats than Manic King Dragon, aside from why am I doing that? Crazed Wizard. I think the range is the only thing that normal dragon has over Mana King. I believe, maybe? Yeah. 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 So a maxed out King Dragon has better stats than a normal, or than a Manic King Dragon, while also having a shorter recharge time. Oh wait, no, it's not a shorter recharge time, never mind. But yeah, like, it's the same recharge time, but better stats overall. Or not overall, but you know what I mean. Kind of. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but basically I'm saying it's still a good backliner. I don't know why nobody uses it. Maybe just because it's expensive, which I agree. It is expensive for a stackable backliner, but at the same time, without Ubers, I would probably be using King Dragon still. Not gonna lie. And then, now time for the best normal cat nowadays. Super Feline. I've heard people shit talk Super Feline for no good reason. Having this low of a recharge time with this much damage versus Relic, like, in one attack that's 75,000 damage against Relic with an Omni that pierces 100 range. And you're probably going to get at least 2 hits because the bulk's not exactly terrible. But like, you know, and the DPS is really good. Considering it's a rusher with such quick force swing, you're attacking quite often. So there will be times when you're not even going to have to get knocked back in order to get a second hit off. You know what I mean? And so, like, this is just really good. Really good peon clearer for relics. So really good at taking care of Sorrels, which... Why do people still complain about Sorrels? We have Earl and Super Feline. And, I mean, you also have Cone. Are Sorrels really that big of a threat to people? Like, sometimes I just think that people don't... Like, people see... I don't know. I think people just try to find excuses to struggle, maybe? I don't know. But Sorrel's really not a threat once you get Super Feline. And if you're doing 4-star Earl, like Earl plus Nala, Sorrels aren't a problem. And if you're really, like, you also have Slime, you have Cone, you have Royal Guard. Relics really aren't that much of a threat, but Super Feline makes them even less of a threat. Way less of a threat, because Super Feline is really good for clearing peons, and even really good for chip. And you can also use it along with ID to get some chains on things like Earl, Esoteric Earl, and Infernal Tower 450. And I think that's like really the only stage people know to use Super Feline, but otherwise they just never use it. I don't know if it's because they never think about it, or because they just don't think he's very good. I don't know though. But 30,000 effective DPS against relics is really good. And honestly, the HP is pretty bad. The HP is pretty bad, but I mean, considering its recharge time, I don't think it really matters. Even if you just get one hit with Super Feline, it's doing its job. I mean, yes, it is expensive. It is expensive, but it's like a mini ID in a way. A mini ID that is more replaceable, or not more replaceable, more respawnable. So you can clear peons rather than dealing damage to only like bosses and stuff like ID wants to. Not only that, but 250 range for a rusher with Omni, pretty good. That's actually really good. So you know, I think that's probably something overlooked on Super Feline, because it's technically a mid-ranged rusher. Plus, it has Omni. The Omni's a really big deal if you can't tell. But yeah, so you know, let's go back to the normal cats though. Let's go back to them for a second. because whenever they're maxed out, they have comparable stats to their manic versions, right? So that means that Dark Cat is still a really good anti-red. That means that Macho Legs Cat sucks because the niche is just different. Lion kind of sucks just because it has less speed than Manic Island. Not Little. I keep saying Little Flying. This guy just sucks overall. Mohawk is still a really good meat shield. Cheap, slow, whatever. I mainly want to talk about Island and Jamera now. Island is just like a expensive version of Manic Island, and also slow. But Manic Island is just that good. I mean, having a worse Manic Island, I mean, that's still a good thing. Like, maybe not later, like way later on into the game, but using Manic Island and Island, like, in mid-game, I think that would be a pretty good duo, because they, like, one is a lot, but the second one, like, Island's main problem is its cost, right? That's what I think, but, I mean, it's still good. I think it's just forgotten, because there's better, right? Like, I don't think people realize that normal cats, when they're maxed out at 20 plus 90, they're still really good. Can you play, please? They're still really good. And, like, they're not unusable. There's a reason why there are stages that require you to use normal cats. It's because they want to bring attention to them. And then there's missions and then all that stuff. And then Jamera is still really bulky. Jamera can still be really nice if you ever need just like a somewhat spammable tank. Like, I think that without Ubers, people would use normal cats way more. You know, I think the normal cats are just outdated, unfortunately. But I just wanted to bring attention to them, mainly Eraser, and Super Feline. Those two I feel like have gotten way more hate recently than they should. And I say hate, just they've been ignored way too much. Because everybody talks about rock, ramen, what other meat shield do people even talk? I think it's mainly rock and ramen that people just are like, oh, those are my second meat shields. I could never consider anything else. I just like my research combos. Sometimes you can't do research combos. Sometimes you just can't afford the space, and sometimes, you know, you would rather have just a better general meat shield that's also cheap, because the other meat shields like rock and ramen are really expensive. So if you need cheaper meat shields, Manic Eraser and Eraser is all reliable as far as I'm concerned. You know? And eventually, hopefully soon, normal cats will, well, I say eventually, they may not, but I'm hoping that they'll get talents. I'm hoping they'll get talents, or in Ultra form, or both. But before then, I don't think anybody's still going to think about the normal cats, unfortunately. I think everybody will still just overlook them, not care about them, and frankly, it's just unfortunate that they're just built so old, you know what I mean? Which is why they need an Ultra form. They need to be redone. But I believe that is it for me today, so if you did enjoy, please do come back for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.